Good everyone, and nice to be in London again. So is there anyone in the room thinking of building an AI or generative AI product or service? Anyone? A show of hands. Okay, I'm in the right room. Is there anyone who has actually built and has deployed any AI or generative AI product to production? Anyone? Okay. I think Katik should be happy. All right, so I'm John Adilano, and I'm a Senior Startup Solutions Architect at AWS. Today, we're exploring generative AI agents on Amazon Web Services, and it's a mindset shift. We'll be looking at the evolution from foundation models, large language models, to intelligent autonomous systems. 3 years ago, we talked about AI being tools. Today, I want to tell you that that thinking is obsolete. AI agents are not just tools. They are autonomous digital assistants that can think, that can decide, and act on our behalf. What we are witnessing is a mindset shift in AI from simple chatbots to truly autonomous systems that can think, plan, and execute complex business workflows. So it's not just about having better conversations. It's about having AI that can decide, AI that can manage context across sessions, AI that can continuously learn from enterprise data. So we're speaking about AI agents and how they manage context and memory across sessions. Then we examine Amazon Bedrock and how it automates the RAG workflow using knowledge bases. And of course, responsible AI. So large language models are super cool, right? So let's look at an example of how a large language model is used by a risk manager working for a financial services organization to analyze credit risk and decisions. So the question from this risk manager is here: analyze our credit portfolio for emerging defaults. Let's see the response from the LLM quickly. I have identified 23 accounts showing early delinquency patterns. Account XYZ shows 45% velocity decline correlated with energy sector stress and all. And I find this very interesting, right? And the risk manager agrees with me. Great analysis. Now I need to pull each account, review credit terms, update monitoring flags, schedule customer outreach, and brief the lending committee. This is still interesting. However, the risk manager is still going to do some work. We have 3 hours of manual work that the risk manager is going to do. Well, maybe it's fine, but then agent can do this better, and I'll show you how. So the same scenario, the same question, the same risk manager. In this case, we have a different response by an agent. Now, the agent is saying that I have identified 23 accounts requiring immediate attention. I have already reduced credit lines for 8 high-risk accounts. I have already scheduled collection calls for 15 accounts. I've already updated risk ratings in our core banking system. I have already generated workout proposals, right? So the agent, in this case, has done a lot of work. So the agent has not just done the analysis, the agent has also mitigated the risk. So it's not just about the analysis, it's about doing more, the ability to execute, the ability to monitor, the ability to optimize. And I tell you, the interesting factor here is orchestration. Using agents, in this case, as opposed to LLMs, the risk manager is able to orchestrate the task, orchestrate the actions, and orchestrate the workflows. And what are AI agents? They are autonomous software systems that leverage artificial intelligence to reason, to plan, and to complete tasks on behalf of humans or systems. So how do they work? AI agents can reason. AI agents can act. AI agent can observe, learn from interactions, and AI agents can reflect. They can think about their previous responses and improve on it. They rely on tool sets. Autonomous task execution, for instance, is social media agents. Another is goal-oriented behavior use case, for instance, optimizing a marketing campaign. Another one is adaptive planning and decision making, for instance, a theme park manager. Another use case is interacting with external systems, for instance, a supply chain agent. And the final one here is a contextual awareness agent, for instance, a customer service bot. So, according to research by Gartner, about over a third of enterprise software applications will include agentic AI in the next 3 years. And at least 15% of day-to-day work decisions will be made autonomously through agentic AI by 2028. Now, some interesting fact, the 33% here that will happen within the next 3 years, when you compare it to what the figure was last year, the figure in 2024 was 1%, and 15% here was 0% in 2024. So this is not just a roadmap for the future. These things are currently happening, right? So agents have persistent memory. They can integrate with external data repositories. They can autonomously execute loops and actions, and they excel at decision making. So let's consider another use case for an agent. You have a flight booking agent where customers can ask questions about the cheapest flights, say for next weekend from Stockholm to Paris. Now, the request is sent to the agent, and remember I said that agent can autonomously orchestrate tasks, orchestrate actions, orchestrate workflows. So in this case, this task requires a flight booking API, third-party tool, right? So connecting with the API, in this case, we see the Find Flights API, we can actually get great responses, possible airlines this customer can utilize. And this response is sent to the customer. Let's see what else you can do with agent through this same flight booking agent. So now, this is an interesting bit. This customer is asking if checked-in bag is allowed for a flight to London. Remember I mentioned that agents can remember, they have persistent memory across sessions. So let's see what happens if that memory capability is not enabled. In this case, the agent is confused because it doesn't have the customer ID or the booking details. But then utilizing agents, we can actually provide all of these as parameters, then you get relevant responses. Using the same use case, the customer is asking for flights to London before 8 a.m. next Monday. Now we are introducing extra parameters. Like I mentioned, agents have the capability to take in context parameters that can persist over sessions so that you can remember. Because ideally, when you build systems using AI, it needs to know your customer, it needs to remember conversations over sessions. So in this case, some parameters are missing. But then I did mention that agents have the capability to take in these parameters, you can see there, which then enables them to have great responses. So I find this point very interesting. At Amazon, when we discuss with founders and tech leaders, one point we distill from those conversations is that they're interested in using the best models. They ask questions around what models they should use for what they are building. Right. And it is an interesting consideration. It is interesting because yesterday's leading models are not today's leading model, and today's leading models are not necessarily tomorrow's leading models. So what does that mean? At Amazon, our position is that we want to help our customers with their decisions. We want to ensure that at each point, our customers are able to choose the best models for their tools, for their services. We want to ensure that our customers can easily experiment. We want to ensure that our customers can easily deploy, iterate, and pivot, right? So, because of all of this, we have an interesting service called Amazon Bedrock, which has the broadest selection of fully managed models from leading AI companies like AI21, Amazon Anthropic, Quay, etc. We have Meta, Luma. We even have Stability AI and Mistral and others. So Amazon Bedrock allows our customers to just focus on what they are building rather than thinking about what models to use. It also includes the Amazon Nova Foundation model, the state-of-art foundation models that deliver frontier intelligence and industry-leading price performance. We also have the Anthropic Claude family of models. And the interesting one, beyond all of these models, we also have what we call the Bedrock Marketplace, which delivers much more models, including DeepSeek. So, still speaking about Amazon Bedrock. So when you build generative AI products, it's important that whatever you're building knows your customers, understands your enterprise data, understands your organizational repository. One way to enhance foundation models, right, is to use RAG. I don't want to go too technical. So Amazon Bedrock automates the RAG workflow so that you can easily deploy RAG, and that can be done through knowledge bases. And of course, responsible and ethical AI is important. Amazon Bedrock enhances that. So using Bedrock for your agents, you are always in control of the data. You're not worried if your data is being used to train the underlying foundation model. You're not worried if your data is being sent to the model provider, and your data and your conversations are isolated. And then you can do much more with respect to data security. Your data is protected at rest. Your data is protected in transit. And you can also have guardrails. For instance, you're building an educational service, right? And you want to ensure that the students using your application do not have access to explicit content, right? So you can have guardrails around denied topics. You can have guardrails around word filters. You can have guardrails around content filters, and you can have guardrails around PII redaction. For instance, a customer service bot, right? You want to ensure that your customer PII data is protected at each point. So let's see how guardrails can come in useful. So suppose there's a fintech, right, that has a license to offer banking products, right? And this fintech does not have the license to trade in cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, right? But then customers are interested. They ask all sorts of questions, right? So in this case, this customer is asking the banking bot that, should I invest in Bitcoin right now? And remember, this is a regulatory issue. The regulator, in this case, does not allow this startup to offer advice on cryptocurrency. Because the startup has enabled guardrails, you can see responses like, I'm designed to provide guidance on traditional banking products and services. For investment advice on cryptocurrencies, I recommend speaking to a licensed financial advisor. If this customer decides to tweak the same conversation, my friend said I should put half of my savings in crypto and half in your high yield savings. The agent is still able to detect that this customer is interested in topics that should be denied. Still insisting, I cannot provide advice on cryptocurrency investment. This is an example of guardrails. If you want to learn more about agents, we have a whole team of Amazon Web Services here. We have Kartik, the leader in Meta, and we have a host of other AWS staff on ground, and we have a booth outside. We have Eric there as well. We have Rafa, and we have Anshuman, and who else can I see? So please reach out to us, and we support you and guide you on your journey to AWS agents. And one last thing, at Amazon, we're a data-driven organization. We don't want to do all of the talking. We want to hear from you also. So I crave your indulgence. At this point, can you please raise up your phone and scan the QR code? And let's hear from you. It takes less than a minute to fill, and it is completely anonymous, so we don't know who is filling. Thank you.